Ever wondered what would happen if Into the Breach and Company of Heroes had a secret love child? Grit and Valor 1949 is the weird little mech pilot they never talk about. I am the IndieCrawler, and today we're taking a first look at this alternate history roguelite, where I will show you everything you need to know about gameplay mechanics, upgrade systems, and much more. Set in an alternate timeline, Grit and Valor follows the Resistance's struggle to liberate Europe from Axis control. Heavily outgunned and outnumbered, your fight for freedom begins on the British Isles. Here, you scavenge captured enemy mechs to rebuild and strike back. The ultimate goal? Deliver a massive EMP bomb deep into the heart of the occupied headquarters. Along the way, you'll face ever-growing threats, from small infantry units to colossal oppression walkers, towering boss mechs that embody the brutal dystopian regime. Their sheer scale and presence make them the perfect adversary in this grim alternate history. The game launches on March 26, with all footage in this video coming from the free demo available on Steam. Developed by Milky T Studios with support from Megabyte Publishing, the game stays true to the well-loved roguelite formula, delivering a thrilling, strategic experience. Grit and Valor features a striking cel-shading art style mixed with clean comic-inspired visuals. Each map feels like a self-contained puzzle in resemblance of Into the Breach. While the maps feel a bit isolated without the illusion of a larger world, the variety prevents the experience from becoming repetitive. The music is atmospheric and fitting, though it can become repetitive after extended play. The pilot voice lines are witty and humorous, but they are often triggered too early, announcing critical damage when their hull has been slightly scratched.
'Tis but a scratch.
As with most roguelites, you start off with limited mech choices and upgrades, unlocking more after each run, where you will eventually have a full squad of the most deadly killing machines. There is a map where you choose your path and you decide what encounters you want to tackle. Those encounters can be normal fights, tougher fights, a shop, or small story choices with different rewards. The risk-reward system plays a central role, as choosing easier fights can leave you underpowered, missing those much-needed upgrades for tougher encounters. The core gameplay loop follows the classic run-fail-upgrade formula. Failures bring valuable enhancements, making each new attempt more powerful and addictive, with new mechs, new pilots, abilities, and bigger guns. You just can't stop after a run, because with more powerful mechs, maybe this time it's enough to tackle that one annoying boss? And as it is the boon of modern roguelites, time just flies by. The combat in its core is very simple yet strategic. You position your mechs and they fire automatically when enemies are in range. However, they only fire when stationary, making positioning the key tactical element. Each mech and pilot comes with one active ability, ranging from jetpacks to repair stations, adding a layer of decision making. So thinking ahead and clever positioning is the most important factor in Grit and Valor. It reminds me a lot of Into the Breach, where you also have a small squad of mechs and need to use their range and positioning in puzzle-like challenges to overcome your opponent. Only here it's real-time and not turn-based. There are 3 different types of units that work like the classic rock-paper-scissors formula from old-school RTS games. We have ballistics, fire, and explosives. Your fire mechs shred enemy explosive units, but will be bested by ballistic mechs, and so on. If enemy forces overwhelm you, you can always pause the game to retreat and look for high ground or cover. Repositioning will turn the tide in most fights. Every encounter also has a secondary objective, and this objective can vary, from capturing points of interest or defending buildings. Completing those objectives will reward you with more resources. In high threat situations, you will encounter airstrikes, displayed with red indicators, forcing you to move and most of the time give up your advantageous position. Your upgrades come in form of crates that are dropped by your air support, and you actively have to collect this crate. This can sometimes mess up your positioning and you have to get out of your way to collect them. Mostly you will receive a boost to any of your chosen mechs with different rarities. You can upgrade your damage, high ground damage, some much needed maximum health points, heal bonus, or some debuffs like weaken. Most upgrades are straightforward, with some adding effects to your abilities. But there are a lot of upgrades and the choice is yours. More survivability or more damage? It's the decade-old min-maxing glass cannon debate. And once a run is finished, you can upgrade your base by unlocking more buildings like the mech yard or the pilot barracks. There currently are 3 currencies: coins, scrap, and valor. The coins are used in runs to reroll your boosts or buy items from the shop. Where scrap and valor is for leveling your pilots or buying equipment for your mechs. There are different slots on your mechs like hull or weapon, where you can slot various equipment pieces, giving you health or damage upgrades and various stat boosts. In this current version of the demo, you are not able to unequip any of the equipment, you can only change it to a newer piece. But this will destroy the old piece that was already installed. This is a design decision I don't really like because it limits your possibility to experiment. Your pilots all have different abilities, where you can spend valor to upgrade them. More damage, additional charges, or some specialized additions that fits the ability itself. Let's look at some pros and cons. The gameplay in the demo is not really challenging. If you failed a couple of times, you learn how to position yourself and eventually it gets easier and easier. I seriously hope that the finished game with the added regions will be more challenging. Also, the strategic gameplay is a bit lackluster in terms of what you actually can do. Only one ability and correct positioning is everything that is in your control. I hope they add certain mechanics to gain more tactical depth. Let's hope and see. On a positive note, everything runs very smooth and you can pause or even run the game faster if you want. Even though it's a real-time strategy game, you can play at your own pace and it's not a game of higher reaction time. The elite encounters don't feature any bigger enemies. What they will introduce are airstrikes where you constantly have to reposition yourself, and if you're not careful, you can get a lot of damage from them. Here I would love bigger waves, bigger mechs as enemies, or some other mechanics that change the course of the battle. The difficulty curve is more of a gentle hill. Let's hope it becomes more of a proper mountain by release. To summarize my first impressions, would I recommend it? If you're a fan of roguelites with strategic combat, Grit and Valor 1949 is definitely worth checking out, especially with the free demo available on Steam. The alternate history setting is interesting to say the least, and the game has potential to become an indie hit. I generally enjoyed my time with the demo, and I can't wait for the full release. And that has been it for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked this first impressions video, please leave a like and subscribe, as I will keep you posted about the newest indie games. I have been the IndieCrawler, and I wish you a nice day.